And moving right along places us in the warm and charming company of a handsome-looking gentleman by the name of Mr. Bharat Bhargava. Mr. Bhargava is the host of In Dialogue. Each of his segments is very different and quite noteworthy. His presentations touch everyone's heart. This week, Mr. Bhargava chooses to touch upon a soft corner of our soul, and that is with the heart, the name, the fame, the glory of the music industry, late Mr. Jagjit Singh.
Namaskar, I am Bharat Bhargava. Thanks for joining In Dialogue. Ladies and gentlemen, I am grateful to you for your most generous responses on our tribute to Kishore Kumar. That episode unexpectedly became like an old man's human interest memoirs. Encouraged by what you said, I plan to offer a few other episodes along those lines. The one today is a tribute to late Shri Jagjit Singh, and in the future I may have episodes as birthday tributes to Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru and Khan Sahib Mehdi Hasan. Our dear Jagjit ji passed away 2 years ago this coming week. As you know, Jagjit ji made the greatest contribution ever toward helping the ghazal genre of singing reach and be understood and appreciated by a vast number of South Asians worldwide. Like his role model Mehdi Hasan Sahab, Jagjit ji was born in Rajasthan. His love for music was so intense that in 1965 he moved to Bombay without telling his family. Later on, he married the former Chitra Dutt. Many of the viewers would know that it was Jagjit and Chitra's first LP, The Unforgettables, that in the late 70s catapulted them into the musical stratosphere. The Unforgettables is a collection of some of the most intricate but lucid poems to which Jagjit ji applied distillation of his musical genius and many years of hard work. The nazm Baat Niklegi to Phir Dur Talak Jayegi in this LP became most popular. But in reality, each song in it is a true gem with respect to its lyrics, melody, instrumentation, and rendition. Take, for example, Chitra ji's ghazal, Kisi Ranjish ko hawa do ke main zinda hoon abhi. इस गज़ल के एक और शेर को मुलाहिज़ा फरमाइए, मेरे रुकने से मेरी सांस भी रुक जाएगी, फासले और बढ़ा दो कि मैं जिंदा हूँ अभी. Amazing. If any of our viewers have not had a chance to listen to the full album closely, I highly recommend doing so. In 1980, I learned that Jagjit ji and Chitra ji were touring the USA, and I decided to organize their program on a non-commercial basis in the Philadelphia area. I figured it would be easier for people to come to a suburban location than downtown Philly, so I remember having offered to pay a movie house that was right outside our residential area whatever they could have made by showing a movie, and held the concert. When I first met Jagjit ji, I was simply blown away hearing him speak. Most performers are able to produce a fairly good voice when singing, but in his case, his voice sounded amazingly resonant even in regular conversation. The concert turned out to be a really memorable event for us in Philadelphia. After the concert, we came to our house, and what struck me then was that Chitra ji, who looked so reserved and almost too serious on the stage, turned out to be most chatty, jovial, and affable person in private setting. I'll give you a few examples of that in a bit, but here's a picture of them. I would have hesitated to show this picture of Jagjit ji if Jagjit ji was alive, but he is now merged with God, so it doesn't matter. I must also admit, though, sometimes I do get confused on the right or wrong things to do between my showbiz role and the other boring roles I have. Jagjit ji and Chitra ji had extended me a most earnest invitation to visit them sometime, so when I happened to be in Bombay next year, I also went to their place. You know how it is in Bombay. So many prominent buildings go not by their street address, but by their names. So they lived in the building called Pushpa Milan near Warden Road. It was a very pleasant evening for me. Let me give you a few examples, the kind of things we talked about, which one would not have read in film fare. We talked in Hindi, but I'll give you literal translations. At one point during our conversation, totally laughingly about it, Chitra ji says, Bhargava sahab, ye bhi koi baat hui? There are rumors that we're getting divorced. Here we are. We have just bought the adjoining flat to combine the two into a large flat. ऐसी बातें कोई divorce होने वाले लोग करते हैं. Hearing that, Jagjit ji said, ये तो बड़ी अच्छी बात है. इसके माने हम भी famous होने वाले हैं. इसीलिए लोग हमारे बारे में rumor फैला रहे हैं. Then our conversation turned to their first album, and by mistake I called it The Untouchables. I immediately realized that I was chagrined and apologized for the kind of faux pas. But jokingly, Jagjit ji said, कोई बात नहीं, Untouchables भी कहा जा सकता है. In talking about the songs in that album, Chitra ji said, let me tell you what happened with Sarakti Jai. A few days ago, he was teasing me, saying, तुम्हारे और हमारे प्यार में बस फर्क है इतना, इधर तो जल्दी जल्दी है, उधर आहिस्ता आहिस्ता. And the next night, we were doing a major concert. I was aghast when during Sarakti Jai singing, he looked at me and sang this whole share in the concert. She said, I made a face, but of course the audience got a real kick out of it. Jagjit ji had recently released a new album sung by Talat Aziz. I had not heard of Talat Aziz before, so I asked him how come he had Talat Aziz sing it, implying why didn't he sing it himself? Before Jagjit ji could reply, Chitra ji said, you know, Bhargava Sahab, this is exactly how she used to speak. In our field, we have to work in all directions. Who knows what may change? Of course, Talat Aziz later became a very prominent singer. Jagjit ji very proudly also told me about a new song he had recently composed for a movie. He told me that the album was to be released that night. He was really very excited about the song and said he would like to give me a copy to take back with me. He sent a guy by taxi to whatever production house it was to get a copy, but after quite a while the gentleman returned telling us the record was not ready but was expected to be in the next couple of hours. I was flying that night, so Jagjit ji said, I'll keep checking. If I can get hold of it, I'll bring it to you at the airport. Well, I didn't get the record that night, but heard the song later on and liked it a lot. It was Hoton se chulo tum mera geet amar kar do, which became quite popular, as you well know. During the following 30 years, Jagjit ji composed and sang so many movie, bhajan, ghazal, and various other genres of songs, having produced nearly 80 albums. Those who may not have heard, I greatly recommend one of the obscure ghazals, Umr Jalwon mein basar ho, ye zaruri to nahi. It's a masterpiece. As best as I know, the only recording available is from his live concert at Wembley Hall in London. During this period, Chitra ji stopped singing in 1990 after she lost her 18-year-old son, Vivek, in a car accident. Jagjit ji kept singing, but his anguish was all too evident in his voice. Chitra ji endured another tragedy when her daughter Monica also died under most sad circumstances. On the 10th of October 2 years ago, she also lost her husband and the world lost its beloved Ghazal king. Padma Bhushan Jagjit ji will forever be remembered, and his legacy, along with that of Chitra ji, will remain alive for generations to come. Thanks for listening. I invite you to visit www.indialogue.net for the past shows and future schedule. You may also write to Bharat Bhargava at indialogue.net. Have a wonderful day.
सरकते जाए हैं रुख से नकाब